Starting there. You're on.
Hi there, we're here. Welcome. Well, and here's Walter.
I'm here too. How
It's
isn't it amazing?
Sheila and Walt. Are you on the right way too?
I am.
Good.
We look backwards to ourselves, but hopefully we look the right way to you guys.
Exactly. On this cold, kind of rainy day.
77 degrees and beautiful yesterday. Sunny, perfect. 37 degrees when I came home a minute ago. And snowing and cold and
so
dreary.
We're spitting snow out there. Actually, it's very strange because it's like big clumps of snow going on outside. So wherever you are, I hope you're nice and toasty, and that you're now. That's just our oven getting ready for those muffins we're going to be doing today. But we're healthy recipes served up on Livliga.
Yes, we are.
And we're excited. I think this is our 8th one. Can you believe that we have done that many months worth of...
But, we started in the other house.
We did. I know. You guys have seen more than one house with us. Yeah, this is it, though. 25 years, right? 25 years. We're not moving.
That's our commitment. That's it.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah. So here we are, the day before Halloween. It really feels like fall. It's spitting snow. And so we thought a slow cooker recipe would be something fun to do today. And also around Halloween with all the squashes we have. I actually developed the recipe we're going to be doing.
This is one of my favorite chilies. I love it. I do.
Oh my gosh, good. Well, we're going to be we're going to do that the second half because we need to get the muffins in the oven for the first half. So with the chili, I thought it'd be fun to share a muffin recipe with you all this time.
Sheila makes a really good corn muffin.
Oh, you're so nice. Well, I have been perfecting this for a while, and why is it? Why did I get into kind of concocting different cornbread recipes?
Well, the one in the summertime when we spend a lot of time up in the mountains, we love to do fresh trout.
Ooh,
and
so good.
In my family, on both sides of my family, the rule was if you had whole fish that had bones in it, you had to have some kind of bread.
Right.
And cornbread was the bread of choice to go with.
Because it's so good, right?
And to go with trout. It was just perfect.
Oh, so good. But one of the challenges that we all have with cornbread
is that it can be dry.
It can be so dry. Or it's that kind of gooey honey stuff.
It's really sweet.
And we're just not into that anymore. Not that that doesn't have a fine tradition, but as a regular cornbread, it's too sweet, too many calories, and we think that it doesn't suit all of the kind of recipe choices we have for a meal. So anyway, I started concocting different, I have a wonderful rosemary cheddar cheese cornbread that's fun, that's also on the website. And by the way, to remind you guys, so we have Cynthia's busy saying hello to everybody, I hope.
Maybe.
So hello everyone, we want to welcome you all to our healthy recipes served up on Livliga. We're going to be doing this cornbread recipe right now. And one of the secrets, so I say perfect cornbread because one of the things that I discovered is that you can put whole kernel corn into the cornbread and it really makes it delicious, and for a couple of reasons. One is one of the things that I'm going to add to the recipe that's available on the blog, which is blog.livligahome.com, or you can get to it on our actual website, livligahome.com.
And up at the top it says Live Vibrant Blog.
Exactly. So you can just click there and go to all, find all the recipes, and you can look up cornbread and see all the variety of cornbread recipes. But I do whole kernel corn, and the thing that I've also developed is that I actually kind of grill it for a minute in our cast iron. And sometimes I do it as just a cast iron cornbread and the whole thing, but we're going to do muffins because muffins to me are a great single serve when you're being mindful about healthy eating, because any of the leftovers you can freeze and bring them out as you need them.
And you really know what you're eating, you know what the calories are. It's just
exactly.
It's a great way
I love muffins.
Mindful of your portions.
So what we're going to do right now is we start this recipe, and so again, I call this my perfect cornbread muffin recipe. So that's how you're going to find
Is this actually canned whole corn, or is that frozen?
Okay, so that was another thing. See, I can't resist changing up recipes. So that's why you want to watch the Facebook Live, because I'm going to let you know what the latest is with this recipe. But so one of the things that I love is having things handy, right? So that when you're ready or want to create something, you can. And so having no salt added whole kernel corn in your pantry is a great thing to have, because then when you want to make cornbread, you've got this handy, ready to go, or in the freezer. So I have a variety of recipes that use corn salads in the summer, and sometimes I just don't want to go through the hassle of that fresh corn process of making it ready for the for the salad or whatever I'm doing. So I use frozen corn, and we're national strategic partners of USDA My Plate, and one of the things they point out in terms of trying to adhere to a budget, or that really things that are frozen or canned also can equally have the same quality in terms of the vitamins and minerals and benefits that any particular food might have. So that's one of the things to point out, is this is actually frozen corn. So I showed you, this is the kind of canned corn that I got, but this is my frozen corn, and it's a 3/4 cup of it. And so as I'm putting
now,
together,
how do you know that's 3/4 cup?
Oh, well, why don't you tell me?
Well, that looks like a 3/4 cup live spoon.
Oh, it's so handy.
Isn't that great?
So handy.
Lisa Marie's on. Hi, Lisa Marie.
Hi, welcome. Thanks for coming. So I'm going to turn on. I think you guys can see me over here, but I thought a little active cooking today would be good. So also, I don't know if you all have discovered this wonderful crock, but when you put olive oil in it, it has a little spout. It gives you just tiny little bits instead of a spray. My problem is the sprays aren't really good for our environment, but this is wonderful.
And it's a bright spout that actually has that little tiny air tube inside, so it actually reduces.
So did you see my tiny little bit of swirl? And so I swirled a little bit of olive oil so that the corn won't, stick on the bottom of the cast iron. And then I'm just going to grill it just a little bit, brown it a little bit, just in that flavor in the corn muffin. This is my secret. So I am letting you in on the big secret.
Yes.
So you were going to give it to me, weren't you? And then you were nice and thought, no, I'll use this kind of thing.
Okay.
So we're just going to let this grill up while we're doing the rest of it, of the corn muffin recipe. And one of the things that I want to point out is, cornmeal is really actually a great source of fiber for us, and it does have some really good minerals in it, like niacin, and I want to make sure I remember all the different things that it has in it, because I like sharing. Zinc. It has zinc in it, and iron. Of course, I'm one of those gals that tends to need a lot more iron.
And niacin's one of the B vitamins.
Exactly. So it's really, it's good for you. I use some flour in mine. Of course, you don't have to do that. You can use a different, garbanzo flour, chickpea flour, or a brown rice flour. I mean, there's certainly other alternatives. I tend to use the King Arthur. I love King Arthur flour. It's such a high quality. And then one of the things that I use, I love the stone ground yellow cornmeal. And this is
Hodgson milk.
Yeah, Hodgson milk. So of course I love, the classic. But this one, just again, the texture of it. I'm big on textures, as you know. And are you gonna swirl that for me? Thank you. So what we do is a 3/4 cup of the flour, 3/4 cup of the cornmeal. I've already put the flour in here just because I tend to get distracted when I'm talking to you guys. So I thought if I pre-did some of this, again, I'm using a handy live spoon here, and I spoon in because one of the things I try and be mindful of when we're doing these recipes and baking is trying not to get the air out, because that's kind of one of the things with measuring. So I also use the bottom edge of a knife to level it off so that I end up with kind of the correct measurement. So I already had put in our baking powder, and I think it's a teaspoon and a half of that. And the one thing I wanted to point out is in my recipe online, I have a cup or 3/4 cup and 1 tablespoon of the flour. Some of these things are a little concocted for me because of the altitude. So I just wanted to point that out to you, because we do live in Colorado and we live a little higher up. So you don't necessarily have to have that extra tablespoon. It won't hurt anything. But
it helps with leavening for us.
It does. And then baking soda is a 1/4 teaspoon. We have salt and sugar. I just put 2 teaspoons of sugar in. And again, if you're needing to be mindful of that sugar, you know, any of the sugar substitutes like Truvia is great. Can you turn that off, pretty please? It's great for baking, especially with just 2 teaspoons. Sometimes when you use large quantities of alternative sugars, it can change the taste, but that should work really well. And then, so I just need to stir this up a little bit, because of course when you have the leavenings, you kind of need to make sure you stir that all in so that it you know, gets all throughout the flour. Because sometimes that can really affect the leavening if you don't stir it in before you put the moisture in. So I've got all of this.
You're mixing all the dry ingredients.
I am, and of course I'm the advocate of kosher salt when you put the salt in. So who's in here? Oh, hi, hello. Good to see you guys on this cold, wintry day. So we're gonna combine, and again we have buttermilk in this particular recipe for the cornbread.
I'm just starting to get a touch brown.
That's probably pretty.
A second more, I think.
Yeah, maybe a second more. We still have a second more.
Yeah.
We don't want it to be really hot though when we put it in, so you might want to just turn it off now because it'll continue to brown. So I also am using today, you know, the liquid eggs instead of you know, individual eggs. Again, this is to lower cholesterol. It's just one of those things I alternate. You can certainly use you know, whole eggs, but this is a nice way to have something again in the refrigerator handy that's also good in terms of if you're needing to be mindful of your cholesterol. So so we got that, and then we're going to do, I say in the recipe to use 1 tablespoon, I think I said tablespoon, let me just check this particular, yeah, corn oil, 1 tablespoon corn oil. The reason why I do that is because it enhances the flavor of the corn. If you prefer or don't want to use corn oil, certainly you can substitute the oil that you prefer, like canola oil. But for me, that just really makes, enhances the flavor of the corn. So we got our 1 tablespoon of oil in there. And we're now going to mix this up. And then we're going to mix it up inside the flour. So we're adding the liquid to the flour mixture.
And the corn looks perfect. It just slightly has little brown spots, but light brown spots.
Oh my gosh, it's going to make this whole thing taste so delicious, I've got to tell you. So, one of the things that we wanted to, you know, it's so fun having you guys inside our kitchen, especially the day before Halloween, because we have such fun memories of Halloween. When the kids were growing up, we have 3 wonderful children, and when they were growing up, we would have a pumpkin carving party every year. And the fun part of that was that
we really had, it was the 5 of us, but then we would invite all of our friends who basically didn't have kids. They were either single or they were childless couples, and it was so fun because everyone would bring their own knives. It was like an
excuse for people to be childlike,
yes,
right?
It was so fun. And we do it in the basement. We do all sorts of tarps over everything.
You have to be inside.
And so we were with all sorts of tarps over everything so that we didn't get messes. I had gone and gotten all sorts of fun kitchen knives, right? Exactly, from the place downtown in Kansas City, the sharpened knives that I would buy.
They had like
ones.
Extras,
yes,
right?
You just buy these, you know, for $1. They were great,
and they were funny looking knives.
Yeah,
I remember.
Like, bony knives, but they were really sharp and great. And then we would buy all sorts of pumpkins. So we'd have, you know, 15 or 25 pumpkins for maybe 12 or 15 people.
But we'd actually go to, you know, the pumpkin farms. And we would
pick out.
Oh my God!
You know,
so
beautiful
fun.
pumpkins and perfect pumpkins and very sort of Charlie Brown pumpkins.
And then people could pick the kind of pumpkins. Some people like Charlie Brown pumpkins, you know, and they could actually design to them, right? You know, so create their.
And of course, we had an artsy crew.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, it was all very much a part of it. But I'll never forget. A dear friend who was actually Sheila's really good college friend, had not grown up really ever celebrating Halloween. And so the first time she came to our house to carve pumpkins, everyone was very, you know, assiduously looking at their pumpkin and carving away, and there were funny masks and there were, bizarre faces. And when Shaheen finished, she had the most beautiful lantern.
It was so
just
gorgeous.
architecturally designed.
Right.
And it was like,
she won that list that year.
It was a pumpkin lantern. It wasn't what I expected, but it was fabulous.
Hi, Ashley. Welcome.
Yes.
So we've mixed all of the corn fixings except for the actual kernels of corn. So we're gonna do that next, and then we're gonna put it in this wonderful. Do you guys see this pan? Do you guys know about USA Pan?
They're the best.
Oh my gosh, did we discover this at a show?
Actually, a dear friend.
Denise.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, Denise is the one that introduced us, and then we discovered all the variety of things at the show.
Well, and then we realized when we went to shows, it was actually at the Chicago Housewares that they had a wonderful booth near us, and I realized, but they're heavy duty, but they're also coated with a silicone. So you can go up to 450 or maybe even 525, but I think they say
we're going to be doing 425.
Exactly, and they ask that you not do anything metal in them to scrape. But
guess what you don't have to do?
You don't have to put any oil.
Right,
and
so we don't have to spray these.
Incredible.
Oh my gosh, and the cleanup is so great because then you're not, having to scrub it out and scrape it and what have you. So we're actually using the USA Pan to put these in, and I'm going to. Oh, I need to do this. Yeah. Okay. So we're putting the corn in now.
I'm not going to burn you.
No, don't do that. And
can you guys see, by the way? So it's just
absolutely look pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it smells really good too, you guys. And one of the things, and you could put in an herb. I'm not doing that today, but you could certainly put sage in or some other herb. Like depending on whether it's fresh or dry, but like a teaspoon of that if you wanted to into this recipe.
Rub sage.
Doesn't it sound good? I'm going to be making some banana muffins tomorrow with some sage. So
I ate one of the.
It's okay. It's okay. You and Cynthia are eating my bananas. That's what happens. I
get
them all perfect.
Our bananas.
Okay. Excuse me. So anyway.
You may buy them, but it's our bananas.
I just want the really ones that were ripe. But anyway, we're not talking bananas today. No. We're talking cornbread.
We are on cornbread muffins. So Joan Gallus is on.
Hi, welcome. So fun to have you on board. So we're gonna put these now in, and we're gonna fill these tins in, and it's gonna take about 18 minutes. And in that time, we're gonna talk about.
And the oven is at 425. Everything's ready to go. I'm gonna put a rack actually in the middle.
Okay, that's always better if you do that. I didn't pay attention to that when I always, is that like you guys? I always pay attention to that as a point that I'm actually putting the muffins or the bread or whatever in the oven. So,
we had bagels on Sunday and we toasted the bagels under the boiler, and so it was very high.
That's true. So I fill these up about 2/3 full. They'll rise a little bit. And again, muffins from home are a little different size than the muffins you buy in stores. So these are nice size muffins, and the wonderful thing is you know exactly what's in it, right?
Yes.
So part of a healthy lifestyle and healthy eating is the fact that we're participating in the creation of our food, and by doing that, we know what we're putting in it, and we can also enhance it with flavors and herbs and things that and ingredients that are good for us and healthy for us.
And right? Anticipation is really important for us, for our psyche. And
and everything tastes better,
yes,
right?
Exactly.
When we're all participating and making these wonderful things. I'm going to use this for a sec. I have to get all the goodness out before we put it in. I think I'm missing some content here in some of these.
I can scrape a little bit more.
Okay. Yeah, I've got this.
All right.
I've got this.
Okay, good job.
So, you guys have fun Halloween memories? Do you dress up for Halloween? Do you still go trick or treating? Escort your children or other children, perhaps. So we love Halloween, and we still do. When we first moved to Colorado, though, it was
we're looking forward to this neighborhood because there are lots of kids around.
Yeah, well,
we're all in houses.
Last house we had a good neighborhood that had a mix of kids and adults. But when we moved first to Colorado, we moved to a condo, and it was kind of secluded where we were. We were kind of in the inside of the development. And so I went the first year because I was so used to in Kansas City, where we came from.
Thousands of kids.
I know, literally. We were one of those neighborhoods where parents would put their kids in the minivan and bring them to our neighborhood. So we were ready, right? We were ready
really
with the pumpkins lighted and with lots of candy. And of course, every year I tried to get healthier and healthier, but people don't want that. They want the candy. So anyway, we had hordes of candy in Kansas City. And so we come out here and I buy the same amount of candy the first year.
And not
not a single, and of any age. So it was pretty eye-opening. So I learned my lesson, and we didn't obviously buy candy then thereafter. I know. Fingers in the kitchen, what can I say? Oh, who's saying what? I want to know. People are giving their memories, yes. I think. Do we have people dressing up in costume?
Here, well, let's see.
And here, I'm going to grab this and put it in the oven so we get this going. Sid, can you put on for 18 minutes for you, please?
Thank you. So we have Lauren, and we have Carla, and Joan, and Ashley,
so
and
nice
Cynthia.
Yes, and Cynthia is helping us keep on track here. So we've got the muffins in. They're going to be going for 18 minutes.
So what next?
So how about you guys? Do you love slow cookers? I am a real lover of slow cookers, especially, I certainly use it in the summertime too, just because when you're busy, it's so nice having something you can put in first of the day. And in the summertime, actually, it's one of the ways to keep your house cool. And in the winter, it's kind of one of those things where the smells and things like today, Cynthia, first thing in the morning, came in because I, of course, wanted to get this ready. And she came in and said, "Oh my God, Mom, this smells so good." And that's kind of one of the wonderful things about slow cookers, besides the fact of the convenience of being able to put everything in.
But it is really like, it used to be you would be over the stove.
You keep wanting to get out of it.
I don't know why I do that.
Yeah, just come right here, Suzanne. Right here.
You would be in front of the stove and you would, let it just simmer and
same
cook
kind
away.
of concept, but you had to worry about the fire, right?
But now it's in the slow cooker,
exactly.
And so it won't burn on the bottom. It doesn't scorch. All those things really don't happen.
So I'm a real lover, and one of the things I wanted to point out. Hopefully you guys can see this. Have you discovered All Clad? So again, a dear friend, Denise.
The same dear friend.
I think it's because she's a really good cook. And maybe one of the reasons why we're such good friends is because we all love good cooking together. And actually have a wonderful tradition, which we'll talk more about as we get to the holidays in terms of New Year's Eve dinners. But she's used an All Clad for years, and I keep discovering, I don't know about you guys, I've been cooking forever, right? And we've been cooking together forever, but I keep discovering new things, and All Clad is one of those things.
Right. And actually, our first crock pot,
my
mother gave us.
Yes, she did.
And I rolled my eyes.
He rolled his eyes.
The last thing that we ever need is one more
because he thinks,
we
should cook everything in a different sort of way.
But in fact, I fell in love.
He did.
But then Denise is All Clad.
Okay, and the cool thing. What is the coolest thing about the All Clad? Well, there's several cool things about the All Clad.
With crock pot, you really did everything in it. It was crockery, and you couldn't put it on the stove. But with an All Clad, because it's aluminum,
there's an insert,
and you take it out, and you can sear things on the stove first.
Which is what I did today.
Like because we have lamb shanks you did the other day, or you do a wonderful shoulder.
Fabulous for browning the meat. So today, this is actually a meatless recipe, and that's kind of one of the fun things. Because we're trying, to live healthier, we eat everything. That's one of our challenges, right? We love everything, except for sea slugs. Just saying, I cross those off my list.
But Sheila really comes from a tradition of the Peace Corps and feeling that you really have to use everything.
Yes,
and so one of the issues she had with Halloween was you have all these wonderful pumpkins. Once Halloween's over, what do you do with them? Making a pumpkin pie is kind of counter to what we're trying to do, and so that's why you then developed this great recipe.
And it's fun to have these for decorations too. And the thing about it is that they are decorations, and then they become food. So it's multi-purpose. You know that reuse, recycle, repurpose.
Yes, that's it.
Well, the wonderful thing is about squash is you can totally do that with the squashes.
Lauren, we love that you love our lip spoons. That's wonderful.
Oh, thank you for saying that. Awesome.
So I came over.
Yes.
Delinda. So Delinda, actually, we started out by making corn muffins. Sheila has a wonderful recipe for corn muffins, which is on the blog.
We call it the perfect cornbread muffin, and you can find it on the blog. And It's www.livligahome.com, or the blog is actually blog.livligahome.com.
There you go.
And it makes it super easy for you to be able to actually follow along. But what I'm trying to do here, and I have to confess that part of our Facebook Lives is that Sheila changes up the recipe. So unless you watch the Facebook Live, you don't know my super great secrets. So the great secret about the cornbread, which is actually, that's in the recipe, is that, not the grilling part though. I actually grill the corn.
Right.
So I put whole kernels of corn and I grill it. So they're in the oven right now, and they're cooking up, and we're going to bring them out, and hopefully you can kind of imagine smelling it through the screen here. But then with our slow cooker, we started out Halloween's with Julia's chili, and so again, our lives, and I think this is probably true for anyone who loves to cook or loves food, we have so many memories and traditions, right? And so with Julia's,
things that are passed down. I mean, this is your aunt, or actually godmother.
That's the thing about traditions, right? And so Julia's chili was a chili that I ate a lot of in my growing up and adult years. And Julia was my mom's roommate in college and best friend, and also our families are related, and godparents, and then the next generation were best friends. So Andrew's mom, who's a dear friend of ours in the family, and Uncle Andrew to all of us. And so here we are with Julia's chili, and I made it forever and ever and ever. But it's got meat in it.
Yes.
And so as we were exploring other things, and because of the time of year, suddenly I had all of these leftover squashes. You know, so we have acorn squash, and this is actually a pie pumpkin. So, and I think these are fun because they're cute for decorations, but then they're really handy, and you can make so many things. Shelby Kennard, have you guys discovered the diabetic foodie?
Hi, Susan.
She does. She just posted today one that's pumpkin and lentil salad. Oh my God, it looks so good. I'm going to make this very shortly. But there's so many uses for these. So for me,
but pumpkin is also really cool because we got into it on recipes because it's
so good for you.
But it's in terms of your glycemic index, doesn't it do things in terms of lowering that?
Well, it's high in fiber, the right kind of soluble fiber. The other thing is that it's full of water. So it's one of those things that is very filling. So I think I talked to you guys before about volumetrics.
Yes.
A professor, Barbara Rawls, kind of coined the term. And it's the idea that we eat the same volume every day, but if we can replace the volume with things that are high in fiber, high in...
nutrient rich, but not calorie dense.
And you are really...
you're
cooking it today. You are cooking it today. So yes, and so there's so many good things about pumpkin, and actually the folks that did State of Slim, and they created
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, the institute at the Anschutz Health and Wellness Center. They are big proponents of pumpkin because it really makes you full, and it stays with you in a way. So I have a pumpkin muffin recipe from them that's made with oatmeal, and I mean there's just so many good things.
There were lots of things we did with pumpkin with that group. And
okay, so here's some other really fun squash. So this one, who knows this one?
I do. So it's a little butternut.
Yeah, cute. It's so cute.
Yeah,
and I kind of like the smaller ones. I think they're great for decorations, but also for me to hack into this. So Walter's gonna hack into our pumpkin pie to show you how we prepare these. But this, you need one of these when you're hacking into these. Serious
when it comes to squashes.
Yeah. So we have our butternut squash.
And the other thing that's fun about this is for butternut, if we're actually going to roast it and we're going to do chunks, I always peel it all first, or I have it and then I peel it. And the thing about butternut squash is it has that funny sort of it oozes something that slightly maybe is acidic on your skin. It's always very weird. Yeah, it actually does weird things to you. But we don't have to do it on this.
No, we don't.
That's my point.
So and then I wanted to do a quiz. Does anybody know what this is actually called?
Someone's asking.
Oh, I did.
What is it? What are we asking?
What's in the oven?
Well, but I said already.
Those are the cornbread. We answered.
The cornbread's
in the oven. So this is a carnival squash. And the cool thing is, I actually asked the grocer yesterday because I was going looking for various different squash for this, in addition to what I already had, to make sure I had fun things for you guys. This squash is a lot like butternut squash in that it has kind of a maple syrup. It has kind of a sweet finish to it, like the butternut squash does, and nutty. And so I think this is going to be super fun to have in a variety of things, but in the chili as well. So how do I prepare the squash? Well, the squash are prepared.
You say honey.
Honey. So when he's around, I grab him because he just whacks into them and has them. And what I do is I put it on parchment paper because it's just easy. I don't have to deal with oil or anything. Have them, and obviously you have to take the seeds out, right? But with the pumpkins, I actually saved the seeds, and our pumpkin seeds are actually currently in salt water, and then we're gonna roast them. Do you guys have that tradition? Have you ever done that? We used to do this all the time with all of our millions of pumpkins. Yeah, Cynthia's eyes lighting up because I'm gonna roast those.
And by doing them in salt water, it actually absorbs a little bit. So then when you dry them out and roast them, it has just a little bit of salt. Yeah.
So anyway, so all the pumpkins were cut in half and roasted at 350 I did 30 minutes here, but 20 to 30 minutes is plenty. And then
and you actually did a pumpkin and a butternut squash and an acorn squash.
I did.
Yeah.
I did. And what I did, which is different than what I said in the recipe, because I have to confess all these things to you guys, I ended up just peeling them because I'm a Scotch woman. I do actually have some Scotch blood in me. Yeah. But I wanted to have all the meat in it, and I also didn't want it to be mushy, so I wanted to be able to actually chunk it up, and so that's what I did. So I just took, the peeler, and you just literally
just a paring knife.
It's a paring knife.
Oh, look at that. Oh, that's very easy.
And it's very easy. I don't know if you can see, guys, but
yeah.
So that's what I did. And this, if you have some extra, I actually used everything I needed in this preparation. So this can go into that salad I was talking about from the Diabetic Foodie.
Oh, yum.
It can also, one of the things that we love doing is putting, Walt is actually, thank you. So our muffins may be ready, so we're going to look at them. But one of the things we love doing is our squash rub, which is also on the website, and just put that on any squash and brown it up in the oven and use it as your starch for any meal. It's delicious. How do we think?
I think they need another few minutes.
Okay, let's do 2 minutes, Cynthia. Smells good, I will say, but they're not really browned on the top yet. So Walt actually raised them up in the oven, so hopefully they'll brown a little bit. So anyway, so that's what I do is I peel it up. I'm not going to peel it all. So who's for Walter whacking into it? Let's do a big chunk.
So what am I doing?
So do you want to do another
I can do
pumpkin?
whichever. Yeah, sure.
Because I am going to use it in a recipe, so I thought.
So my trick. So these are Cutco. It's our wonderful Cutco.
And I have to say
cleaver.
before he whacks my finger off, which would be good for Halloween, good effects. But
also wash first.
I was going to say I washed them first on the outside, just so that when you're, hacking into them, you're not bringing anything dirty into the meat of the squash. So,
and not that I'll do this perfectly, but I do kind of try and see how the stem goes and put it so that it's coming up.
Hold it better, right?
Well, so if I cut it in half, I mean, my goal is to actually cut it perfectly in half.
Okay, so he's gonna.
So I then just barely start this, and then I do
a
little bit. Chunk.
So he's actually using his palm of his hand to kind of.
Or heel is technically.
Okay, sorry, the heel.
And you see, I missed. I'm not really square, but
it's okay. We forgive him because he's doing this for us, and so we are very grateful. But that's the one thing. We have much bigger pumpkins over there, and you can totally use the big pumpkins too. But this is just really easy. I can handle and manage these so easily for baking. So anyway, and then you can save the seeds just like I mentioned, and bake them at 350 for 15-20 minutes. You want them to turn a little brown on the outside too. And then you have a really fun snack, or it's something that you can put on top of your salads. We actually put nuts in our oatmeal every morning, and pumpkins they're good. They're very high in fiber. They're a little chewier than other things.
Are they pepita or not? No, that's
right.
I think,
but that's when the hull is taken off.
Okay. So it's actually the inner part of the seed. Mm-hmm. But I think they again have a lot of the same nutrients that the pumpkin itself has. And it's also
I mean they're more tender for stomachs, so not everyone can do that. So, so what I want to do is
Marie. Hi, Marie.
Hi. So what do we have in the? So we're doing the squash.
Oh, timer's.
Oh, timer's off already, Sid? Okay, so we'll check again. And I'm afraid they're done, and they're just not going to be as brown on top. We don't want to overcook these because the thing about it is you don't want cornbread that's dry.
Yeah. And I think we had a miscommunication, so which I was going to put on the top.
Ooh. Yeah, I think they're perfect. They're not quite as brown on the top as we would like, perhaps, but they smell good. So we've got our cornbread done, and it's got that whole corn in it that we grilled up, so it's going to be really delicious. And then with our slow cooker recipe, so I made it really easy. So I used 3 different squash, and honestly, you can use whatever squash you have handy. I think the flavors of the acorn with the butternut and then the pumpkin are just really delicious.
I just have to show off the USA pan because, I mean, these are just out of the oven, you can see, and all I do is just barely...
And normally you have to leave these things alone, and depending on the type of muffin it is.
Do you see how easily that comes out?
He's
it's
just sticking it with his fingers. I can't do that. It's just like I'm too sensitive.
Too hot.
Yes, too hot. So, so I wanted to say that again, this kind of chili I sort of developed again out of ease. So these are, you can certainly have, do your beans yourself and, take them from hard and soak them and cook them. I am the canned type of gal, and I try and get the things that are low in, or no salt added. I couldn't find everything, no salt, at the grocery store, so what I did was actually, I drained them and I washed them to get the salt out. So, and then also, it kind of depends on your, if you're going fast, you can just put the whole thing in. And if you're trying to be mindful about things like salt and taste, because when you have that liquid in there, it kind of changes the consistency a little bit, but it's still good. I do that all the time. So, and again, what's handy? For me, I wanted a variety of beans that have different colors. So I did pinto, and I do a whole can. So that's my measurement as I do a can. I did the cannellini. They're so pretty in a stew or in our chili. And then the kidney beans. I happen to have a lot of kidney beans handy this time of year because they're so classic for chili, right? And then I love stewed tomatoes because again, it's kind of that, sort of savory, deep flavor that a stewed tomato gives you. That's great in stews and chili. So I did 2 cans of that, and I did brown up a whole onion and 2 cloves of garlic with about a tablespoon of oil. Again, you don't have to use all that, but for me, for the flavor of this, and this is a very large pot. So the reason why I thought this would be fun for today is, number one, it's great because you're using up all of your squash, but it also serves a lot of people. So a lot of times in Halloween, it's kind of a family gathering. People are coming in and out. They're able to eat at different times, and this kind of slow cooker meal can serve many, and
as leftovers, it's always better the second day.
I swear, don't you think? I mean, I think all the flavors, kind of meld together, and this is more along the spicy side. So have you guys discovered jars of pickled jalapeno yet that are sliced? This is one of those things, again, that I have handy in the refrigerator. And so don't tell Cynthia because she doesn't like spicy food. But I put a tablespoon of chopped up jalapeno in there, just a tablespoon.
It really is.
And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is our cumin and chili powder. So there are so many different chili powders out there now, and they're in varying degrees of heat. And so that's kind of one of those things that the fresher they are, the better they are, but they also tend to have a little more heat.
Yeah.
And then where they're from, it's just like cinnamon. It's just amazing how many different kinds of cinnamon there are, and they really do impact the flavor of it. So last time I used a chipotle chili, way too hot for this family. So I went back to the sort of the classic chili powder, and I have 2 tablespoons of that in the chili. And again, when you're dealing with squash and you're dealing with beans, they tend to kind of, they absorb, but they also kind of nullify a lot of heat. so they can take 2 tablespoons of that. And then I'm a cumin lover. It's so good for us. And again, it's one of those things that it's kind of a warm, savory kind of flavor.
It's kind of earthy and
earthy,
but solid. I mean,
yeah, it is. So I just, oh my god, I just love smelling it. You know, it's so good. So let's see. Is that my recipes over here? So I just wanted to make sure that I kind of covered it. And then because I did vegetarian, so there's no meat in this. It's just beans and squash. I used as my liquid a vegetable broth. It does, again, if that's not an issue for you and you want to do chicken broth, that's fine. But for me, sometimes, as we were saying, we just love having vegetarian meals.
Right.
And it's great because when you do have friends over, this is a meaty meal with the squash and the beans. This is a hearty meal. What, are you laughing at me?
No, Cynthia says, I'm here.
I
can hear all this.
I can hear you. Plus the fact
she
that
can
I am,
definitely, she's just right here, you know.
plus the fact that I am watching the
She's sort of our
live.
yes,
our
I know.
IT tech person.
She's our IT tech over there in the corner, actively participating, of course.
Yes.
So anyway, so this has been cooking for 6 hours, and
it has 1 hour to go, or is that?
no, it's been warm.
Okay.
So it's actually, so I think we're ready to.
It looks really good.
It's fun being up here.
What?
It's fun being up here instead of having to watch the dogs on my side usually.
Okay, thank you for that. That's very kind of you.
I like being able to watch you
I'm
guys.
so glad. Okay, so I might as well just use it. So the recipe calls for a cup and a half, and we're using, we always highlight one of our dinnerware sets, and so this time we're highlighting our Vivente. And the Vivente is supposed to, okay, so sit back, relax, and even though you're watching the snow outside, imagine being in a vineyard on a Tuscan hillside with the breeze blowing and the soft light, sipping perhaps a little glass of wine.
And tendrils of the grapevines growing up the.
So that's what you're supposed to imagine with this. And if you remember, we always have these measurements, so a cup and a half. So for that cup and a half of our chili, we can just fill it right up to there. And then we're gonna have, we're gonna end up with a simple salad. So to make this a meal, we have our wonderful perfect cornbread muffin, and then we're gonna have a simple salad with my homemade vinaigrette, and then the cup and a half of the chili, and we're gonna serve it up.
Sounds good to me.
One of the things I wanted to mention too is we always have some condiments. That's again one of the traditions, and we again have focused on how to make those a little healthier. And so if you guys wouldn't mind bringing these over,
sure.
I'm going to bring this over, and then you guys can talk about that. So so cheddar cheese is wonderful on this kind of chili, and you can get the 2%, milk. Cheddar, so that's great, and again, serve it up with that max a tablespoon of each of these things if you want. You can have as much as you want of the green onion. So green onion just kind of is, again, it's a beautiful topper
and flavorful, and texture-wise, it's really good. And then oyster crackers are always I certainly had oyster crackers with my chili always.
Exactly. So we have oyster crackers. And then one of the things I wanted to talk to you about is classically a lot of people use sour cream. And so I got a sour cream, and I was amazed. So 2 tablespoons of sour cream are 80 calories. So I got Chobani, which is one of the non-fat Greek yogurts. I think Greek yogurt, because Greek yogurt is so like sour cream, that I got the Greek yogurt, and it's 20 calories for 2 tablespoons.
20 compared to 80?
20. And it is so good. And so we really don't ever use sour cream. There are moments like New Year's Day that we may do it, but even I think last year I used sour.
Yeah, right. We really got into the Greek yogurt.
We really have. We replaced it.
So
he's back in the fridge it goes. And I got a little tiny container, because now I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with it. But it was all good for the cause to show you guys. Because I just am. I'm always amazed by these things, and particularly because I'm not willing to sacrifice taste and yumminess and kind of the experience, of what we're offering. And that's why something like the Giovanni is so good. And of course it comes in flavors and things, so if you want it to eat otherwise. But this is just plain.
non-fat or low-fat or?
It's non-fat. This is non-fat, but it's Greek yogurt, so it just looks so yummy. It looks exactly like sour cream.
Yeah.
Don't throw it away. Just put it over there if you wouldn't mind. Okay, so we've got these ready to go. I wanted to put my finger in there. Did you see? But I stopped myself because even though I'm alone in the kitchen, I'm really not. So we're gonna serve this up, and so I can show you what this looks like. So it just looks so pretty with the different colors and I actually put red pepper in here as well. And actually, it turned out it was an orange pepper because they were completely out of. Again, I'm very adaptable. Even though I'm doing this Facebook Live and I'm supposed to be perfect and have all these things, whatever's at the grocery store is what you guys get. So,
but perfect means adaptable and flexible. So
here we go. I want you guys to see the variety of things, so I'm gonna try and put. Make sure you can see all the different things. You wanna do your display thing? Is it too hot for you?
No, it's fine.
And then you can put the condiments on that you want.
Yeah. So you guys can see maybe there. So you can see the cannelloni beans and the pinto or the kidney beans and little pinto, right? Also.
So it's pinto.
Yeah. So pinto, kidney, and cannellini, and then the various squashes that you really can't tell the difference whether it's squash or pumpkin at this point. But looks so good.
But by chopping it up like I did, sometimes they can get really mushy. And so, although they are, it's all melded in there. It's nice to have, kind of the different texture of, and
and then I'll add just a little bit of cheese on top.
Does it look good to you guys? Are you salivating? I hope.
See a little cheese, so it melts in first, and then I'll add some green onions because they're so flavorful and good and attractive as a condiment. And then I'll add just a little bit.
You didn't start with, you're topping it with the.
I'm finishing that up, yeah.
See, and you can do your own style. That's
the
good thing about this.
Sheila and I may have a different order
this,
for our topping.
This cup and a half, and some people can't obviously eat a cup and a half, and they serve up what's the.
Doesn't that look great? Look at that.
But it is so filling
yum.
and meaty. And the thing about it is, it's vegetarian. It's got just beans and the squash in it, and you can use any squash you happen to have handy from your fall decorations. And it's something. The wonderful thing about squash is you don't even have to refrigerate it, and it lasts forever. I mean, it's one of those things that you can have it now and not feel like you have to get rid of it. You can just keep using it in the variety of recipes that use squash. I'm going to be using the pumpkin for. I'm developing a cranberry pumpkin muffin recipe that hopefully I'll be sharing with you guys soon. And then I talked about that salad that is squash and lentils, which is so good. So I mean, there are just so many things that you can use. So we're going to try pumpkin. What did I say?
Squash.
Well, yeah. Well, pumpkin is a squash, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So we're going to try this with a muffin.
You need to break the muffin open so they can see.
Oh, you ready? Let's see. Can you? Oh, we're going to have to come up really close.
Yeah. Oh, that looks so good.
But can you see the whole kernels in there?
Yum.
So have you ever had a corn muffin with whole kernels of corn in it that have been grilled? So
it's good.
And of course, some of us are going to put a little tiny bit of butter on our muffin, cause. Well, it's cold and it's rainy out there, right? And it's only a little bit. See, look. So we're going to put a little bit of that on there, and both of us. Since you're going to have a bite too. Are you ready?
Sure.
And you're sharing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Just testing.
Daddy bite?
Mm-hmm. He actually didn't do a daddy bite.
It's really good. I stopped.
Funky.
Mm-hmm.
Taste that corn.
Is this my piece?
All right.
Yes, that's yours.
So
Yum. It's great.
Good.
Yeah, totally.
I'm joking.
Oh, don't do that.
Mom,
I
don't
was
choke.
talking with my mouth full.
I know
Okay.
you're talking to them, but don't choke.
And don't. It may be hot.
I know it.
I can't wait.
So
Right.
we're just letting you know that it really is good.
Yeah.
And again, if you have any questions, please ask. I hope you guys can enjoy this and try it out yourself in your own home. Walter's trying it now.
Yes.
Okay.
And
Dun,
so-
da, 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 da.
That was wonderful.
So, and it's not hot, is it? But it has a warmth to it from the jalapeno and the chili
Right.
powder, right? So, and again,
I
that's
feel
something you can
spiciness
totally
goes up.
adjust
Yeah,
to
no,
yourself, right? And but you want things to be flavorful, so you enjoy them, and so that they're satisfying. And you want them with all these wonderful, healthy ingredients to keep us healthy and boost our immune system. That's another thing that pumpkin does for us. This time of year, we need to be mindful and eat healthy. Walt and I have been traveling, and we kind of came back with a little bit of the sniffles.
Yes.
But we're carrying on. But these kinds of meals do help us carry on because they're
good
keeping
for
us
us.
healthy, and
That's
they're
right.
giving us the nutrients we need to fight off these nasty cold bugs.
Yeah.
So we hope you guys have a super fun Halloween, and that now you have a good recipe for the friends and family who might be coming over, or any time during the fall and winter where you're looking for a hearty, good, but very healthy meal.
Yes.
And we're going to see you next month.
And when is it next month?
Next month, these past couple of ones have been in a different time because we have these holidays that are coming up. And so because of Thanksgiving coming
We're
up.
going to be on the 5th Tuesday.
Is it the 5th?
4th, yes.
So
And the date is November
27th.
That's what I thought. So November
5:30
27th.
still.
5:30
Still a Tuesday.
Mountain time.
Absolutely.
But we'll be off daylight savings time at that point. In fact, this weekend we change. I know.
Daylight savings time. I always love fall back though, right? Because we get that extra hour. So this is very yummy. That extra hour of sleeping or whatever we want to do, to make the most of that hour. Skiing. Some people around here, that's what they love. So anyway, I wanted to mention that it's going to be about holiday baking. So hopefully you guys will be able to share some of your stories about holiday baking and some of your healthy holiday baking tips, and kind of what you share this time of year as some of the traditions in
Rob
your
just came
family.
on. He said he's dying to Rob Portinga. So
Oh,
he's
good.
gonna
Oh, this
check
you
out
love.
our-
I know.
yeah.
He's a baker. Rob is a baker, so
But you'll love it.
the competition's on,
Yes.
Rob. I can't wait to hear if you like our perfect cornbread muffins.
And the stew.
Yes. So take care, and again, here's to you. Here's to having healthy recipes, and
Served up
hopefully
on-
you're enjoying them served up on Livliga.
Yeah.
So,
Great.
all right. Have a
Thank
good
you, guys.
evening.
Good to see
Take
everyone.
care. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next month.
Bye-bye.